The Golf GTI, the hot hatch to beat. Many have tried, many have failed, but now there is a new contender.
The BMW 128 Ti. That's right, we have got two of the hottest new German hot hatches right here, and you cannot get any closer in spec than these two cars.
We're going to be looking at 5 points: design, practicality, performance, fun factor, and cost.
So let's get going.
So if you're going to want to win one of these with BOTB.com, you're going to want to love the way it looks.
As much as I love the look of this car, there's something about these headlights that reminds me of a sloth. It's a bit droopy and a bit sad-faced, but anyway, ignoring that aspect, typical GTI traits. We've got this lovely red line that stretches across the front, GTI badge, obviously. Massive gaping grille at the bottom with these lovely little fog lights as well, with 5 little dots. Very much like the Renault Sport Megane. Great looking front end, big fan. Something I'm not a huge fan of are the standard wheels. These are the 18-inch Richmond wheels. I think they are possibly some of the worst design wheels I've seen on a car, actually. I think they've only designed them this badly so you upgrade to the 19-inch wheels, which do look absolutely fantastic. But that would be a conspiracy theory, wouldn't it? GTI badge, another one. There's quite a few of those. It's a Golf profile. It's nice. You can't really say much more about that, can you? You can say much about the back end though. I think it's a great looking back end on this.
I do like the back.
Yeah, it's really sort of crisp, especially with these LED lights, typical chrome pipes as well. It's sporty, slightly understated, which sort of suits its positioning as the sporty Golf, because there's now more extreme models. You've got the R and the Club Sport and things above it that get all the real aggression and stuff out of the way. This is sporty, classy, big fan.
Now, as we come down to the side here, Tim, you've got these 18-inch wheels. Now, there is an optional 19, but with the 18, there is a no-cost option to tick on the configurator, which will allow you to spec these Michelin Pilot 4S tyres.
That is great. I mean, that really shows they're serious about performance, because that is a really, really good tyre and a really good-looking standard wheel. Take note, Volkswagen.
Yeah, you didn't get that with the VW. As you've mentioned before, those red accents follow along the side with this little side sill, which I think is lovely.
And a cheeky little TI sticker there as well.
I was going to mention that. I like the sticker. It just shows it's a little bit more sporty. As we come down to the rear of the car then, Tim, more red accents with the fake vents, but let's just gloss over that because I think for design it looks good.
Just don't like them at all. But anyway, moving on.
And then you've got the exhaust pipes, which unlike on the GTI, these have got these like black tips, which I think sets them off rather nicely.
It is nice. And you've got lots of shiny gloss black elements to it as well. It's more sort of dull plastic on the Golf and stuff. I dare say this looks a little bit more premium.
I would agree. So I guess we need to find out a winner then.
It is a tricky one because there's certain elements of each car that are really, really nice. But I think the front end and the overall sort of classy look of the Golf, even with these awful wheels, yeah, for me, the Golf takes it. I don't know if you agree. I
would agree. I think the history of the Golf shows that it's just always been a good looking car, and with the new updated front end, I think it still does look better than the 128 Ti. So with that being said then, Tim, I think the Golf is the winner. Yeah, I think the Golf has to take this one. But if you don't agree with us, make some comments below. We'd like to read what you think. Volkswagen and a lot of other companies, they have taken all the buttons away and put them all into this touch screen here, along with this really irritating touch panel that you swipe to do things. I don't like it. There's lots of similar things with the buttons on the steering wheel as well. They are swipey buttons, they just don't feel nice. Not a fan. Give me some buttons back, please. But of course there are some good points. The steering wheel itself is lovely, gorgeous to look at, really nice to feel. There's a very funky little cup holder down here. I love the design of that.
It's very cool. And there is wireless CarPlay on this, which is just genius. Every car should have it.
And in terms of space inside?
Tons and tons of room. It's a Golf. Perfect ergonomics wherever you sit. And it's got a very sort of tartan-ish fabric as well. Not quite as funky as the older ones, but still individual enough to show it's a GTI.
Good news here, Tim. There are lots of buttons.
Yay!
So yeah, there are buttons where the Volkswagen doesn't, this does. So you've got buttons for everything you possibly need, all the radio and also a normal volume control, which is nice, and all the buttons for your climate control. It does have a touchscreen as well, which is very good, and it just works as it should. In terms of just being inside, the steering wheel is lovely, nice big fat steering wheel, which is great. Standard buttons that you'd find on pretty much all of the BMW steering wheels. And then it's just a nice place to be. These seats are very comfortable. adjustable. You don't obviously have to have the red interior, but this one does. And it's got loads of room. 2 big cup holders, doesn't have a fancy one. And down here, you can touch and draw on the iDrive controller if you need to put in a postcode or whatever.
There's some very nice stitching there. You've got the TI logo. Of course, you don't have to have the bright red, but you do have nice red stitching for the TI pack. They're standard, I think.
Yeah, that is absolutely standard, and loads of connectivity. So you've got a normal USB socket up here, and in here, you've got a USB-C one as well. Now, we didn't show you the back of these cars, but they are very similar, but with a little bit more room in the BMW.
Yeah, I definitely had a little bit more knee room in the back of the BM, so that's very important.
Now, when it comes to boots, Tim, on these, what are we talking about litre-wise?
They're both pretty much 380 litres. I mean, there's nothing in between them, really. And they've both got, under here, these little storage compartments as well, which is quite handy to have for putting odds and sods underneath.
They do, but of course at the expense, I guess, of a spare wheel. Now, we have to come to a conclusion as to which one is going to be the winner on practicality, and I think actually the interior is going to play a big part in this, because practicality wise, the BMW is just so much easier to use.
Exactly, usability is key in this practicality area, and just the fact that it's got more buttons, the BMW wins.
Time to talk performance. Now, both cars will do 0 to 62 miles an hour in 6 seconds and top out at about 155 miles an hour. Power-wise though, Tim, what are you running?
I'm rocking 242 horsepower in the Golf. What about you?
Well, I've got 261 brake horsepower, so a fair bit more in the BMW and 400 Newton meters of torque.
Well, I've got 370 Newton meters of torque. So hang on, despite the fact that the BMW has got more power and more torque, and they both weigh the same, the BMW's no quicker?
Yeah, that's right. So I think based on that conclusion, we've got to give this one to the Golf. It gets better performance out of less numbers.
So, Mr. Williams, welcome to the Golf GTI.
Thank you very much, Tim. I love a Golf. I own a GTE myself. This being the new Mark 8, I'm really interested to see how this drives. Now, the first thing I want to do is to put it in a slightly more sporty mode. And if I'm being completely honest, where is the button for that?
48.6 menus to get through.
Really? I honestly don't...
Shall I put it in there so we don't crash?
Yeah, do you want to just...
Exactly.
Where do
it's so bad. There's a little down here, there's a touch button. In the button, it's a touch thing. And you go from comfort into sport.
The first thing sport does is make everything a lot more direct. The steering weightens up, the suspension gets a lot firmer. And actually, I don't really know if this is great for driving on road. I think the individual settings are probably better for this kind of driving.
Yeah, for me, I ended up, in the time I've been driving it, putting it into comfort suspension, but everything else in sport.
I'm trying to work out what's more fun. I feel a bit more in control of this car, yet the BMW, you're kind of fighting with it.
I like a hot hatch to feel like you're grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and throwing it around a bit. And I think Volkswagen have kind of dialed this one back a little bit because they've now got the Club Sport above it.
Now, if you want to turn off the traction control, that's about 7 different menu options away, but you do want to do that when you are really pushing this thing on. The sound, well, look, let me drop it down. Here we go. It's okay.
It's okay.
So Tim, welcome to the BMW 128 Ti.
It's very nice in here. Cruising along in comfort. This to me feels a little bit more taut.
Yeah, the ride is a little bit firmer. Now, you don't get adaptive suspension, obviously, on this car. So with the Golf, when you do put it into sport and it tightens everything up, with this, the sport button will literally just kind of give you more throttle response.
In that case, I'm just going to stick it in sport straight away. Just dropping the couple of gears down. Oh, it sounds angry, but also quite slow on the gear changing, and that's because this has got an 8-speed auto instead of the dual clutch gearbox in the Golf, and you can really tell. Now actually, one more thing I could tell there, you can feel this car tugging at the wheel. This definitely feels a bit more darty and pointy. That normal suspension setup is tying it down quite nicely around here. I'm really liking this.
I can tell.
Sorry, Christian's going to be sickened to us.
I'm never a good passenger, that's for sure.
I definitely prefer this to the Golf.
So I think you'll probably agree with me, this car just feels a bit more involving to drive.
It is. This one goads you into going faster. This is proper hot hatch feel for me, this one. I love it.
Yeah, so do I, which I think goes to show that as this is called Fun Factor, and this is more fun to drive, it's going to be the BMW 128 Ti that wins on fun factor.
Absolutely.
Here we go then, the final fifth point, cost. Now, both of these cars, ticket price at BOTB.com, if you wanted to win either of them, is just £1, which is massively cheap. And they're both fantastic cars, but let's talk about cost. I think the BMW is, what, a couple of grand less to buy than the Golf?
Yeah, that's right. The Golf's about 35 and a bit thousand. BMW comes in at 33.5. Finance-wise, the Golf, on the typical terms, which is about £5,000 down, 3 years, 10,000 miles, this is about £420 a month. BMW, it's £450 a month, but there's no deposit. So that is vastly cheaper across a 3-year term deal on one of these.
So you're saving money with the BMW, and actually you'll save a bit of money on fuel as well, because miles per gallon is a little bit more than that of the Golf. This is around about 40.
Yeah, this is about 37. It works out you get about 30 to 40 miles on a tank more, which, you know, every penny counts.
Absolutely. Tax-wise, they're exactly the same. Insurance, pretty much the same as well. So with that being said, I think on costs, got to be the BMW.
Which, hang on.
Yeah, with the conclusion then, that's 3-2 for the BMW.
It is. The BMW has won. The king is dead. Long live the king.
Maybe you think completely differently though. If you do, let us know in the comments below. And of course, if you're playing BOTB this week, best of luck. You never know, you could be winning one of these cars for just over £1. We'll see you again on the channel real soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
At BOTB, you win your dream horse.
We've had a lovely day filming. Christian is now leaving to do his surprise.
Bye everyone.
Bye everyone.
Cool.